Okay, so yesterday we have created a simple analysis. This is the analysis we have created, and in this analysis yesterday uh, uh, we did a couple of things. So basically this analysis is based on journals basically. Yeah. Oh really? Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Right. So yesterday we have created a simple analysis based on the journal ledger, journal's real-time subject area, and then we have captured a couple of columns from this from the subject area. We got accounting calendar name and chart of accounts, ledger currency, these details, and we got the results too. So that's what we have done. And we kept some conditional formatting for ledger currency. We kept some conditional formatting at the column level, saying that if it is AUD, then make sure that background color and foreground color is like this. And if you want, we can add more currency if it is not in uh, AUD. So what is the, I think it's Australian dollar. So if it is not in, did I choose the wrong one? Sorry, it should be, sorry, I should choose ledger currency. It's not the ledger currency name. If ledger currency is not in AUD, I can say make the color, font color as something black and cell color as something like that. I can say this. So now we kept two conditional formatting. So one is for if currency is AUD, then do like this and do like this. So we kept some conditional formatting at column level, and also we did some properties at this column level, and we have done that. We got few things here, and also we kept some we kept a prompt. Basically, we kept a prompt. We created a prompt called choose ledger currency prompt. This ledger currency prompt, basically we created a prompt, and this prompt we created as column prompt. Column prompt means whenever we run the analysis based on the currency we choose, we create a column prompt like this, which is given label as choose ledger currency, and operator is in and user input as choice list. That's what we have chosen, and we got this one. So display, it will display like this. It will have the choice list where they can choose the currency and apply it. So we got that. And once you have the prompt and what we did, we can run the analysis. So how we can run the analysis? We can go here. While running the analysis, we can choose different layouts. Basically, these are different skin families what Oracle has provided with OTBI. So we can choose any of the skin families. By default, it is Alta skin. If we run by Alta skin, basically it will run, it will have this kind of skin. And if I choose, I can choose the currency. I can choose all values. If I click on OK, basically it will display in this skin. So we have done this yesterday, basically, okay, with simple analysis. And again, as I was saying before, we have many skins provided here. We can choose any of the skins to our analysis. Example, if I choose BLFP skin, this skin will be having different color formatting. So here we can have your different color formatting, and output will show up in different formatting, basically. So we have seen that. So let's go further and see what formatting we can do on this, and what other visual analysis we can add on top of it. Okay, so, and again, what I did on this user, so I'm saving it. For this user, I have added few more roles. Basically, previously we have yesterday we were adding only the financial analyst role, and for this user I have added few more roles. Let me show the roles to you, and then you can understand why the subject areas came up. Then I will pick up another subject area and create few more visual analysis. So for this user, along with the financial analyst, I have added sales vice president role as well. Sorry, sales vice president role, and also I have added HR specialist role, and also I have added compensation specialist role. So I have added 3 more roles extra to the user. So the username is report. Okay, so yesterday we were adding only the financial Australia primary ledger and financial corporate ledger set, and the employee came by default. Yesterday we have these 3 roles added, and I have added few more roles. One is sales vice president to get the sales subject areas, and I got human resource specialist and analyst to get the HR data, and also compensation manager to get the salaries data. I have added all these job roles, data roles basically together. Now, if I see as that user, if I log in as the user and see the subject areas, that person will have access to more subject areas now, because we added more job roles. Job roles will in turn bring access to more subject areas. So how can I go to my BS server? Basically, I can go to tools and report analytics, or other easy way I go is through just append analytics at the end. Okay, I have added it. So now if I go to analysis, that now you can see more number of subject areas. Now I got CRM sales subject areas, and these custom subject areas will come by default for everyone. We have general ledger subject areas because we have added financial analyst job role. We have marketing subject areas came from CRM sales again, and sales they all came from sales vice president subject area. And then we have workforce. These actually came from HR specialist and HR analyst job roles. That's why we got it. So now I'll go and further create few more visual analytics. Before few more visual analytics, let me cover few more fundamentals. So I'm just choosing a simple count of employees by country. That's what I'm going to pull in my analysis. Just count of employees by country, maybe by business unit. That's what I will bring. So how can I do that? So I will bring the country first. So how can I get country? I can go to location. In the location, I can get the country. Okay. And then I will also go and get the legal employer, maybe. Or I'll go by legal employer maybe, and I get the legal employer name. Okay. And I want the count of employees basically in each country and each legal employer. So how can I get that? So I can get the person number basically. I can get the person number, but I want not the person number. I want the count of this person number by country and by legal employer. That's what I want. So what I will do, I go to person number, and then to get the count, click on edit formula. On this formula, I just need to apply the count function. How can I apply that? So click that formula. There is function here. Click on the function. This function will have lot many functions comes out of the OTBI. So we can apply that function on top of this formula basically. In my case, I wanted to apply the count of employees here. So what I will do, where can I find the count? So I can find the count in aggregate function. Here I will get the count of distinct function on top of that. So count of distinct worker person number. So I wanted to give the heading as a proper heading. If I click on OK, typically what happens, it will show as custom count of distinct person number. I don't want that. I just want to give the count as some employee count. Just a proper meaningful name. So click on OK. So now the employee count came up. Now if you see that it became a The symbol became, it was previously it was a 3-column symbol. Now it became a scale like symbol because we have applied a function on top of this column. That's why this became like this. Now it became a derived column, right? It became, basically it became a measure. So we got it. Now if I go to the results, basically now I can see the country, the legal employer name, and the count. Basically in the Algeria country, legal employer name, Algeria legal entity, the employee count is 9. Basically it came up like this. Okay, so now this is a visual, visually we are seeing it. Now what we can do with this table, basically before going to that, yesterday we were seeing some filters criteria here. So what happens when you create a filter? So now what is the query behind this function? What are we have did? How do you find the query behind this? So typically to find a query behind this, if you go to advanced, in the advanced we have something called SQL issued. In this SQL issued, you can see what is the query is running behind this scene basically. So if I copy this one, so basically what is happening here, it is selecting a 0 as s_0 column name, and this is a column 1, basically subject area dot legal employer dot name. It is the column 1, and subject area, under subject area location dimension, under location dimension country, that is a column 2. And okay, there's a country. The country is coming up like this. Country is basically under worker assignment real-time subject area, under location dimension, and under country is there. On top of it, there is something applied here, descriptor IDOF, a definition got applied here. So what is that? Basically most of your subject areas, wherever you see this, it means this country is a dual column there. What do you mean by dual column? So if I go back here, so country, when I say country is actually showing up as Algeria. Okay, but what actually happens is this country will have a country code and country name. It has 2. Okay, so it has both country code and country name. But when I bring a country here, typically I want to display the country. So if any column, if they internally they have code and names, okay, and the code and names, and if you want to display the name, basically what Oracle internally will do, so think of a situation like if you have table, if you store some values in the table, right, if you store some values in the table, basically a code will be stored in the table, but you want to display the value on top of the screen in any of your EBS or any other custom applications. Though code stores in the table, but when we display the value in the screen, typically we display the meaning or description of that code. Okay, so basically how we derive the code, maybe based on the lookups or based on the value set, whatever. So that thing will be taken care by OTBI behind the scenes here. So whenever you see as descriptor IDOF identification, then typically what that happens is internally takes this code. On top of the code, it applies this function. It will describe the identification of this column and display the name of the column. That is the reason you are getting the Algeria. If you go to the table level, typically it will have short code of AL or AZ or whatever like that. So similarly, if it is United States, it will be like US, something like that. But typically, because of this function, it came up like this. That's what you have to understand. And the count, we have applied a count distinct on this person number. That is the 4th column. So it is a logical query because it's not typically telling about the real table name and column name. Basically, OTBI internally create the physical query. This is called logical query. So this logical query, we are actually seeing the data here. If you wanted to see the physical query behind this, that will be derived from the tuning properties from the advanced SQL. I'll talk about that a little bit later or tomorrow when I talk about the advanced properties. Okay, so yeah, that's the column of it. Now, what yesterday we are seeing when we are applying some filters here, basically. So if I apply some filter like
Logical query should not contain the group by function because it is the need of grouping the data, right?
yes, so that will be handled internally by the when the physical query get created, it will show up there. It won't show up in the logical query. So what internally?
I think we can create a OTBI repeat using our own query, right? So instead of
Our own, you can create OTBI not
mm,
through the physical query, your own logical query. If you write a query like this,
mm,
then you can create analysis using this logical query. You can do that.
but there is a way, right, to create a
So here, when you click on new analysis, basically, I'm not creating it. When you click on new analysis, basically, if you have the permissions at the bottom, you can see two things like create analysis based on logical query, create analysis based on physical query. You can see the two options here. Basically, this user don't have that access. So if you log in as HCM IMPL user, example, if I log in a private window, if I log in as HCM IMPL user, so this user has a full level of access. If this user go and create analysis, this user will have a provision to create the subject areas, create this one based on this logical SQL. If we can write logical SQL, you can create analysis based on the logical SQL. When you're creating logical SQL, it's nothing but you're referring the subject areas and dimensions and columns. If you have that level of if those details are mentioned, automatically this analysis has ability to convert that into a analysis basically. And there is something called create direct database query. This is going to be eliminated from next release onwards. This option is available still release 12. Release 13 also it is there, but subsequently this is going away. So better not to rely on this direct database query. Okay.
the first one is the physical query and the second one is the logical query.
Right. But as I said, it is going away from the future releases. So don't rely on this anymore. Okay. Right. So coming back to our thing again. So we have created filter yesterday. So actually I was trying to show something about selection steps actually. Before talking about this, I'm going to give some fundamentals of that. So when I create a filter, basically, example, I just want to pull only active employees based on the assignment status type. I can create a filter. I just want to pull only the active employees. I don't want to pull any inactive employees. Click OK. I have this filter here, but I don't want this column. I just want the filter. I have the filter here. So if you see here, now if you go to the advanced query, and if you go to the filter, now if you see here, where condition got created, saying that where this assignment status type equal to active, where condition is created. So typically what happens when you create a criteria here, this criteria creates a where condition to the query. It means when now this analysis is executed, this query with a where condition is sent to the DB engine and queries results get executed. That's what happens. Okay, that is the importance of the filters. And yesterday we have seen we can save the filter, we can apply the filters to the existing analysis. We can do that. Now in the results, till now we are talking about criteria. Till yesterday we are talking about criteria. We're talking in the criteria how to change the column properties, how to keep the conditional formatting for the column. We have talking about all these things in this criteria section. Okay, so now criteria section is over. Now we are going to result section. And now I am in the result section. So result section has quite a bit of things that we can do on the screen. Basically, the first thing that we can do before talking about this layout formats, there is something called selection steps. So there is a selection steps is there. Selection steps also act similar to the filters. What our filters are doing here, same thing can be done through selection steps as well. But the difference is selection steps will be worked on top of the data which is already pulled by our analysis query. So what typically this kind of results screen typically be used by the business user. Typically what they can do, they can apply the filters on top of the data which is already pulled by the analysis. Here I can apply conditions. Example, I wanted to pull only the employees who belongs to the United States. That's what I want. Then what I can go to selection steps, and here it will list all the measures and columns that we are using in our analysis. Example, what I wanted to do for my country, start with all the members and then apply a logic. What logic I want to apply? I want to select some members. While selecting members, what is my condition? I want to keep only the United States employees. What is my action? Do you want to remove the people who belong to United States? Or do you want to add additional data on top of the existing data? Or you want to keep only the data that you are expecting to? So in my case, I want to keep only the data belong to United States. So I will go here and I will choose United States here, and I will select my United States and I will say okay. Then what actually happens, my query will get executed and it will pull only the United States data. So typically these selection steps, we are actually applying the filters, applying the conditions on top of the data which is already pulled by the SQL query. Okay, our SQL query is this. Once it is executed, once this is executed, once we got the data, and then on top of the data we are working through selection steps. That's the importance of it. And you can keep using selection steps at each and every column level. So, and also while using selection steps, we have many provisions to create. Example, let us say I'm taking it out. So let us say I want to create a new group. If for example I have a situation like, if employees belongs to the United States and Canada, I want to call them as North America. Our employee belongs to Belgium or France or UK, I want to call them as EMEA. And China, Japan, India, they want to call them Asia Pacific, like that. I want to group it. If you want to group it, again, those things you have to rely again on the selection steps. Example, in the same thing, in the new step, instead of going and members, go to the groups, create a new group here. In the new group, what you want, display it. So maybe I want to create different groups. Maybe I want to display North America. And in that North America, what all belongs to North America? Or else I will call it as Americas. I want to combine North America and South America together. I want to call as Americas, and then I wanted to call like Chile is also belongs to South America, and Brazil belongs to South America, and then Mexico belongs to South America. Maybe maybe United States, and some countries like that. Maybe Canada. So I want to call these as Americas, right? So if you click on OK, typically what happens is every place where our country is there, under the country, we will get the, so wherever we have, okay, so where is it? So we have Americas. In the Americas, typically, okay, so what we did, we added the, we have added a new group called Americas here. So when we added the new group called Americas, basically, so here we add a new group called Americas. So once I add the new group Americas, typically what I wanted to do, so I have added all these stuff. So let me execute this one with some skin. So it combined, it added the newly it added all the America's legal entities into a different group basically. So what it did, whatever US legal entities, US INS, US 1, US 2, US 3, those, and also all Canada, all the Brazil, they combined all this together into America's group. But still we have US groups together here, and we still have Canada, everything like that. The reason is we have added the group here. If I add the group, typically then what I need to do, I actually remove the, if I remove the Canada and remove the whatever the groups there, and I want to keep only the I want to remove these things, because I have already created what else we have created. Yeah, Mexico.
Sometime back we added, now we are removing, right? Country.
So I created a group. I created a group already. When I created a group with Americas, when I created a group with Americas already, my intention is everything under those countries should come as Americas. Because added the Americas group, everything under those countries legal entity got one row here. But as we added that, the previous United States, those things were not removed. So what I did now, I removed those things now. So I removed those countries in my table, and now I can see only everything belongs to those countries under America's group. So
can't we do that in a step number 2, then add Americas? So because we have already added over there.
So if you see here, previously we have United States and Canada showing up in our query, and now I removed it. The reason is I have got the Americas already here, which is covering all those things. When America is covering all those things, why should I have those things in my table? That's what I did. So what I did, I added Americas for those countries. I have removed it from my analysis.
Here we added one more and condition then.
Yes, one more condition. Add Americas and remove these things. Remove these rows basically.
Oh, specific rows.
Yeah. So same thing I have to do for if I wanted to add for APAC. Similarly, I need to add APAC group here, and I need to remove the APAC countries rows basically. I'm just demonstrating how we can create the groups basically, if that is our requirement basically. Okay, does it understood? Example, let us say we have this row here, an example for UK, or example, let us say we have India here. India and China is there. For India and China, I want to call as APAC group. So if I add APAC group, typically what happens, APAC group will come at the bottom for India and China legal entities along with the counts. They will add on top of this, on top of these rows basically. So example, if you see India has 24 and 1, and China has the 71 China legal entities, and China legal entity 2. So if I go ahead and add a new group called APAC, and if I say China, and if I say India, so typically what happens now, another row will be created for China and India as APAC. So it is having the China legal entity 2, India legal entity, and Tata Consultancy Service Limited. It has 4 rows already. And again, we have duplicate rows here. So again, we have the China row here, and we have the India row here. That is the reason what I did. Along with after adding the APAC group, I am also applying one more condition to remove the China and India. Basically, I'm removing China and India now. Once I remove China and India, now China will be, sorry, it's Chile, right? It's Chile, so let's take it off. Keep China. If I say China and India, then China will go away now. So India will go away now, and they both will be covered in the India APAC group. That's what I did. So If you want to create the groups, again, selection steps is the place where you can play off with creating the groups and also adding and removing the columns. It is same as filters conditions. Whatever we are doing here, filters are, we can also do the groups here. We can also keep a case statements, like if it is China, displays APAC. If it is India, displays APAC. We can do like that. But typically, whoever is developing the report, they will work on this criteria statement and they will create the report and deliver it to the user. Typically, user has provision to play around with the data. Once the criteria is written, we don't know what is the data before. Whatever this condition, whatever this where conditions, whatever this grouping brings, only that data we can see. In case of this selection steps, what happens is whatever data came up, on top of the data, we can apply more conditions, more criteria, and we can play around with the data. So we have the control of how we are seeing the data basically. Okay, so and there is one more thing here. Apart from the group, there is other thing called, example, let us say you wanted to have one more column here, basically some measure. So let us say we have a new calculated measure. So what you wanted to display, maybe you wanted to display, you wanted to add any column, maybe any additional column on top of it, and that column may be derived, or let us say I'm pulling the business unit.
Lakshmi, from where you have from this screen new calculated measure?
So in this thing we have
Okay.
the icon is there. So if you want to create a measure column, you can click on the measure column. If you just want to create a plain database column, you can create the new calculated item. It will just create the values, basically create the column. Basically that values can be based on any of these three columns. So we have the provision to do these two things. Basically these two things can also be done from the selection steps. So here also you can create a new group. Here also you can do the new calculated item. In this new calculated item is same as the, here also we can apply the formulas on top of those columns basically. So, okay, so let me, once we have this table, how we can format it. Once we have the table, the way we can format is, this whole thing is called compound layout. In this compound layout, we have two containers. Number one is title and number two is table by default. So it's a title container and table container. So title container will talk about what you want to title this analysis. So basically by default it is blank, and if you wanted to give some title, you can click on this pencil icon. Automatically the title will show up. Here you can display saved name, means whatever analysis you are saving it, that name will show up on your analysis. Or you can give your own title. Maybe I would say employee count by legal entity and country, something like that. And you can keep the logo. If you want to keep logo for your analysis, you can create take the existing logo, or you can upload your own image, and you can keep you can get the image on behalf before your account. If you want to keep any subtitle, you can keep it. And similarly, if you wanted to format your title, you can always format your title. You can always give the font, and you can also mention the size of number of pixels, and then you can click on it. So the title will show up like this. You can have subtitle, and also you can show the display the time. The time will display like this, and if you want display date will display like this, and many more. You can display date and time as well. You can have the provision. So sorry, I just by country. and legal entity. So I'm not displaying the saved name, and I'm just going to give some color, and I'm going to give some size, and I'm going to give some logo. And I want to display the date and time. And help URL. Help URL basically, you can help URL typically it's another analysis basically. So you can give link to another analysis, because you cannot just give www.google.com. You cannot give something like this. So typically, whenever you create help URL, a question mark will come at the end of your URL, end of your title. If you click on it, basically it will try to look in google.com into your analytics folder. Typically, you have to give your any analysis name or any report name, something like that, which is available in the analytics. Then you could able to navigate to that report actually directly. So with the second analysis, we will give this analysis as a help URL. So we can do that. So once done, then this title is ready. And then the next second container is actually table container, because that's what come by default whenever you create any analysis. And this analysis again has some properties. Example, Belgium is there. It is not repeating to these two lines. Basically, how we can get it? You can go to criteria and change the column properties, or in this also we have some table properties where actually we have a couple of things you can control. You want to fixed headers with scrolling content, like it is scrolling like this. Do you want to give it like that? Or I don't want fixed header, I want a content paging, and I want to keep page controls at the bottom or top. Basically these page controls will help us you to go next 25 pages, go next 30 pages, like that, and how many rows per page you want to display to. So by default it is 25. You can give any count here. And also it will say display folder and column headings. Basically what happens here, country, legal employee name, employee count came up here. Everything, every column belongs to some dimension folder. Example, if I say as a separate rows, example, display folder and column headings are separate rows. If you click on it, typically what happens, it will say dimension name. Under the dimension name, the column name will come up like this. Okay. And also if you see the bottom, as we kept the page controls, there's no scrolling button anymore. We have this rows 1 to 30. If you click on expand it, go to top of it, go next 30 to 1 to 60 rows. So we can keep going like that. So here, I wanted to keep only column headings. And if here I could say enable alternate styling. Enable alternate styling is very useful. So if I enable alternate styling, it will enable the colors like this. So it is easy to readable. Sorry. And this has another property called repeat cell values. For Belgium, the cell values are not getting repeated. If you click on repeat cell values, then automatically these cell values get repeated. So you can create these properties here also, and here you can create the more formatting actually. And this is called format container, where typically, so this is actually a container. This whole thing is a container. So this in this container we have a table actually. So do you want to keep surround this table container with any properties? Example, I wanted to create a border for this. So by default, it is no borders. If you want to enable borders, you can keep enable border like that. So typically we have default border, none means no border, all means all borders. And what you want the border style, double or thick. Thick means thick, black color will form. What is the border color? Maybe you want to keep some border color, and it will form a container will be forming like this. So you can differentiate between different containers.
So and we can enable border for only one side also. We should have 4 sides.
Yes, we can keep 1 side, 2 side, 3 side, 4 side. You have that provision actually. Same for title as well. You can do that. Now
we have subtitle also, right? Where it will come if you enable the subtitle?
It will come bottom of it basically. So yeah. If you keep some subtitle, basically it will come at the bottom of it like this. Okay, so yeah, so that's not more. That's more than that. This visually we can start showing up how you wanted this to look at basically. and you can always set the okay. Now after this container has the real properties. Example, this table has some very good properties we can always play around with. So if you go to pencil, this is editing is nothing but you're editing the real container now. Till now you're setting the properties. It is actually you're editing the container. Now here you can control how the table should look like. Currently this table has every layout, every container layout has 4 sections, and some are based on the visual diagrams. The sections will different. One is prompt, second is sections, third is table, fourth one is excluded columns. Example, I don't want assignment status type to show up in my view. Then typically I can take this and I can drop it here. Then the assignment type column will go away. It won't be there anymore. So it will have only 3 columns. So here I wanted to make country as a drop down here. So typically what I can take it and I can keep it here, then the country will be dropped down here. Now here I can go here, I can choose Americas. So Americas has a legal of these many legal employers. So if I go and choose some other Belgium has only 2 legal entities. So we have that provision if we keep it in the prompts nothing but a drop down. Similarly, if you don't want prompts, we can keep sections as well. What sections do? Sections actually create like this. So for every country, it will keep bringing the count like this: Argentina, Australia, Austria, Bahrain, like this. So it will keep showing up like that. And basically, it's not much useful. Maybe bringing here may be useful, or even we don't need like that. Maybe our count is less, so we can just keep it here itself in the just whenever blue icon comes up, just drop it here. It will have this one. So this is very important. For every container, we will have those different properties to play around with. That is one thing. Now, if you observe, I said in this compound layout, we have 2 containers, title and table. See the volume. In the views, we have title and table. Example, you don't want title to show up in your compound layout. Then what you can do, you can delete it. If you delete it, it means doesn't mean it will go away from here. Typically, it will go away from this compound layout. Whenever you want, you can click on this title and drop it here. It will come down. So typically, you need to take it to the top, and you can get it right. So it has 2. Now we can create n number of views on top of this analysis. Okay, so we have varied number of views given out of the OTBI product. Basically, we have the charts and we have the title nothing but this is the title. We have the table layout, pivot table layout, performance style layout, tree maps, trellis. We have simple, advanced trellis. In the graphs, we have different kinds of graphs. Basically, we have bars, lines, areas, pie charts, line bar, time series line, Pareto's, scatter, bubble, radar, waterfall. And we have the gauges, different gauges. We have dials, vertical bar, horizontal bar, bulbs, funnels. We have standard, non-standard, large stage only funnels. Map is not supported in release in a SaaS model. Basically, it is in the enhancement request to get the map. If we have the map enabled, typically based on the location zip codes, basically you can map your data on that map. Basically, it's very useful. And we have filters and selection steps. Actually another kind of visual analytics. I will show you that. And other views, basically where we can choose column selector, view selector, legends, nothing but we can create our own legends. Basically, example, maybe you want to say green as good, red as danger, something like that. And narrative, we have something called logical SQL. We can write our own logical SQLs by creating the standard logical SQL. That logical SQL will get executed and get the output results. So we have many other things. So, and there's something called best visualization. What is best visualization do? Based on our data, OTBI evaluate what is the best visual representation we can give based on this data. If you click on best visualization, what it will do, it will identify among all the typical layouts, whatever we have mentioned here, out of that, what is the best suitable for these 3 columns? It will identify that and create a new layout at the bottom. So it identified that chart is the best layout for this, and this chart basically they created the x-axis, they created country, and the y-axis they created the employee count, and with the legal employer as the prompt basically. So it is, if you don't want this, maybe you want differently, maybe you want legal employee names at this x-axis, and maybe you wanted to have the employee count by country in the y-axis, or you want employee country in this drop down. If you want to do that, typically again this is a container. This container again have 3 properties. Example, we have this format container property again about the border, and we have the properties basically. If you want to canvas width and height, how do you want to set it? And we have the view edit. Again, you can edit the view, and this view has 3 properties: prompt, sections, graphs. In this graphs, we have the vertical axis, horizontal axis, where you can group by, or where is the color by, how do you want it. So typically what it is doing here, it is actually assignment status by employee count it is taking here. Maybe what I wanted to do, maybe I wanted to sorry, see if I see here, if I bring the country from horizontal axis to the group by vary color by, it is saying that active employee Algeria employee count. So I don't want that. So typically what I will do, I will take this country and I will take it here, and I will give the legal employee to the horizontal axis. So typically by country, if I choose Americas again, so it will show by each legal entity how that should come up basically. Maybe it was not good for me. Maybe I want to try something else in sense, instead of the prompt, I want to keep country in the section. Yes, we should be carefully, whenever that section is highlighted in the blue, we have to drop it there. Let me expand it. So get country and drop it here. So typically it exceeds maximum configuration because every country is keep getting the chart. So what I will have display a slider. So in that case, what happens? It will display a slider like that. If I play the slider for every country, it will keep displaying the legal employee names and their counts. So example, UK. So UK has 3 legal entities: legal entity 1, legal entity 2, and legal entity 3. And active employees count is this one. So we have 145 active employees for UK legal entity, and 21 employees for process UK legal entity, and 15 employees for this one. And again, this chart, maybe you wanted to make it as a 3D mode. You can make it as a 3D mode. And or maybe a bar, if you don't want bar, you want a lion, you can make it as a lion. And you have all the different options how we can change our properties basically. So if I keep as a bar, and I can make it as cylinder, triangle, a gradient. I have many ways we can play with this chart bars basically. So we can do that. So I'm again making to default, and yeah, it is one way where we can. So where is our?
Lakshmi, the page width is a fixed one, or can we change it?
But we can change it. The page width we can always.
Because we got some message, right? It's a maximum number of got reached. I think
the reason is that, so if you remember, if I don't display a slider, then typically what happens is, for every country this chart will keep displaying this chart. So for Argentina, one chart, and below Austria another chart, below UK another chart. So the number of charts got increased. If you see that, exceeded maximum number of allowed output prompts. So actually I have around 180 or 200 countries. So 200 charts will be displaying on the screen. So that has a limitation for that. So to display the number of charts, I mean, I don't know the number exactly, but that has a limitation to display how many number of charts should come up on the screen basically. So that is the reason I display a slider. So it will, if you play the slider, automatically it will keep playing and show the counts by each and every country. It's again,
So and this is a bar output, right?
Yes, it's a bar output basically.
So can we see the output trails, because trails is this is the first time listening. So if you can show us,
Okay.
because I'm love to see how it looks.
So now, okay, I'll come there. So now once we have this chart, typically we have three views now. We have view number 1, view number 2, and view number 3. So typically we have 3 views here. So now how you want to display these views? So do you want to display 1, 2, 3 like that? Or do you want to display side by side like that? So typically if you want to display side by side, again you can just drag it and drop it here. Then typically what happens, the data will go show side by side like this. So here we have title, and another title, we have this table 1, and we have the graph, and we can add as many number of, so here example, you have the row 30 rows are there. That is the reason it is showing up like this. Maybe if you display as 15 rows, maybe, so the count will reduce, the size will decrease basically. Now I can add as many visual layouts I can on this one analysis. Still we are not going to the dashboard yet. Dashboard is different. We are still in analysis. In analysis we can create as many views I want. Example, if I go back again, I want to go to trellis. If I go to simple trellis, so what it typically it will do, it will create, based on the data, it will create the trellis like this. So trellis basically what happens is, for each country, and if we have multiple legal entities, example, we have Belgium, we have 2 legal entities. So Belgium legal entity, what is the count? Employee count 48. Belgium legal entity, we don't have the count. So it is another visual representation of data. And typically if you wanted to control, how do you want, example here, employee count is coming as a graphs here. So for every country and legal employer, we got the graphs like this. So we can have as many as you want. And if you wanted to format it, again, you can go to edit, and you can decide how you want to show up basically. Do you want to show the rows as country and legal employer name, or you want to view as vertical bar, or you want to view as a lion basically? So we have many ways we can represent our data. It's a trellis view basically. So we have many views. Every view we can we have the horizontal bar. We can represent trellis in the horizontal way. So basically counts will come up here. So it's all basically, every view is not like, it's like definitely it's more number of times we have to keep trying and keep adding our analysis and based on the needs. Okay, so it is one more trellis view that we got added basically. So that one will add it at the bottom here. And again, this length got existed based on, because we are keeping this view at the bottom of these 2 things. So based on these 2 visual two layouts width, this one got populated at the bottom basically. That's what it happened. Okay. And again, we can add as many visual analysis as we can. Example, I can add a guess. So if I click on dial, I can add dial. So my dial will come up. So my guess will, by default, it comes like this. So currently it is showing up a guess for the combination of the country and a legal entity. So maybe I wanted to keep country as a prompt here. So typically I can go there and I can edit it, and so here I can say, again, I wanted to keep country as prompts here. So I get the country here, and now here I can based on the country, I could. So I can have for each legal entity, we can see what is the employee count basically. So if you want that, that one also come as I wanted to take out this assignment. I just want to display the section, and I want to display a slide bar. So typically here I can, I could say the employee count by each legal entity. In Americas, this legal entity has in Americas, Indonesia legal entity has 7 employee count and like that. So here what is happening, this percentage 0 to 38 percentage is treated as red, 30 to 67 percentage treated as yellow, and 67 to 100 treated as green basically. If you want to change that, we can change that settings. So here we could say what is the threshold values. Basically here you could say what is the threshold values here. So by default it is giving threshold values as red, yellow and green. Maybe you can change the threshold values. Maybe you can give some custom values here. Maybe up to 20% is coming as green, and maybe 50% of, oh sorry, what I am so typically it is actually saying,
I think we can get the reverse way. Low is a down value, you know, the down checkbox.
Low values are desirable. Yeah. So here we can play around with the custom value threshold is 10%. So 0 to, okay, I'm not sure. 0 is actually dividing by, what is it doing? It's dividing into 0 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 100. Maybe I forgot what I was doing. Okay, I think you could definitely figure it out what it needs to be. So yeah, we can have this analysis, and I can create this analysis again. I can keep it side by side like this. So here I have 2 analysis at the top and 2 analysis at the bottom. I got it created. So now I can save this. So once I have this analysis got saved, I can create like my so once my analysis is created, then I can run it. So I can have my whatever option I want to choose, I can choose. So typically it will show up like this. It will have 4 analysis: analysis 1, analysis 2, container 1, 2, 3, 4 is still coming up, and we can play around with all these layouts, visual representations, and share with the end users basically. Okay, so actually on top of it, few more once we have the analysis got created, actually typically combination of multiple analysis, we call it as a dashboards, and based on the analysis we can create a KPIs, and once we have dashboards and KPIs got created, we can embed them into the Fusion applications. We can do many things. So what I will do along with this analysis, I will talk about KPIs and dashboards tomorrow session. Once we have that, then typically whatever is necessary for us to show up on the Fusion applications is ready, and then we can continue further on that. Okay, so I'll take a break. I'm a little late to my other session, so we can continue from tomorrow.
Initially, we discussed about 3 types of users, right, for the OTBI reports. So, which category it comes into? Our report user 1RB.
Report user 1RB. What category means? What do you mean by that?
Initially, super user, something like we discussed about 3 different types of users. I forgot the names.
Okay, that one that one actually not based on the user. Once we have the report got created, who created this report? This report is created by this report user 1RB. So this person is actually creator of this BI report, and whoever uses this report to run on daily basis or whenever they need, then that user will become a BI consumer. So I will talk about that, sharing the reports to other users, and how they can run it, what they can see it. So when I talk about sharing the report to other users, you will understand the difference between BI consumer and BI user and BI administrator.
Okay.
Okay.
So it is available, the employee count by country and legal entity report is available for till now. This report user 1RB only.
It is, but now I shared it in the shared folders now. So whoever is access to the BI server, who has access to this catalog, who have access to this shared folders. In these shared folders, in the custom, we have tech batch 3. We created this user analysis 1. We had this user already. So not this user. Which one? Yeah, this is the user we created. So whoever has access to this folder has the ability to run this report. But while running the report, based on their access to their subject areas, right? Subject area means, I clicked on it. So this is the workforce management assignment subject area. This subject area access will come from HR specialist job role. Whoever user is trying to run this report doesn't have access to that subject area, they won't see any data here. You got it, what I'm saying? So typically they can go to the catalog folder. They can go to this catalog folder. They can go to this this report. But when I click on open, if they don't have the proper job role assigned, then they cannot run the report. It will say that you don't have access to the subject area. Yes, you can't run it.
Okay. So share the access then to the particular batch 3 analysis user or something. Not group or something. What we can call it is?
Which one? The person who created this report?
Yeah, we have shared the report to a particular group, right? Custom group or something.
Yeah, so BI consumer, we will say that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, then we'll meet tomorrow at shop 7, and then we'll talk about a little more further on this reports and analysis.
Thanks, Lakshmi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshmi.
Thank you.
Yeah.